Hi guys, Craig here. Welcome to another edition of the podcast, Tell Craig Your Story. Today we'll be speaking to Justin Rivera. Justin is a magician and comedian. He's been working for over 12 years now, and he's done a couple of world and international tours. He's also done shows for the troops, for the Army, Navy, and Marines. He's worked with the Black Eyed Peas and One Republic. And he got his big shot on America's Got Talent, where he performed in front of millions and millions of fans. He's also been on the Comedy Central. But before we go, please go and visit our website. We are on Facebook. We are on Instagram. We are on Twitter, at Tell Craig Your Story. And we also have a link there. It's a link tree, and it tells you where Tell Craig Your Story podcast is available. We are on Spotify. We are on Google Podcasts. We are on Apple iTunes. All right, so here we go. This is my chat with Justin Rivera on Tell Craig Your Story podcast. Hi, Justin. How are you going today?
Good, man. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good, thanks. First up, just tell us how everything going where you are in the US, and are you staying safe?
Yeah, man. Fortunately for me, I'm like right outside of the city, so it's not too crazy over here. But I'm definitely staying safe and just being, a little bit more mindful of things and preparing for stuff. So other than that, it's just being stuck at home for the most part. So
Yeah, sure.
nothing too crazy, man. It's better here than like in LA or New York or Seattle right now. It's crazy, man.
So whereabouts are you now?
I'm right outside. It's like right next to right outside of LA, over by Ontario. There's the
Gotcha.
international airport over there. Yeah,
Okay, nice. And your
yeah,
family staying safe as well?
yeah. They are. I'm seeing my mom more often now, just because she's older. So, but other than that, my other immediate family, like a brother, is he's in LA with his wife, and everyone seems to be doing okay.
That's good. That's
So,
good.
yeah.
That's good. So has this stopped any of your events, or were you on tour at the moment? Did you have to stop anything to for this sort of period?
Well, I was already home, but I had shows and some road gigs lined up last month, this month. I was supposed to do a cruise this month for Carnival, and that got canceled. And
Oh,
yeah, I had some other stuff like out of the state here, over in like Salt Lake City, Utah, and stuff like that. And yeah, once the shutdown happened about a month ago, just everything canceled or was postponed to like May or June. But now we're shut down till May 15th, I believe it is. So, just kind of taking it as it comes.
yeah, right. So Justin,
Yeah.
the last time I saw you, I actually got a chance to see you in Shanghai, of all places. So I do
All right.
believe you were on a huge eighth month international tour. I've got it written down here, covered, North America, most of Asia, Philippines, Thailand, India, Vietnam, Indonesia, Myanmar. How did you fit all that into a 7-month schedule? And the other question
Yeah.
is, how was the experience in Shanghai and China?
Yeah. Well, let me see. So that was 2017, and I basically started end of January. So I had booked all these major clubs and festivals throughout that time frame, and then as kind of like an anchor gig, anchor show. And I was
Yes.
just trying to yeah, and I was just basically filling everything in between with smaller clubs here and there. So my base was Philippines because I have family there. I was just staying with over at my dad's. So that was the main base, and then I also have family in Australia
Oh,
and
nice.
yeah, and Japan too. So like, it just helps to have a base whenever you go, travel, perform internationally. It's hard to do if
Yeah,
you don't have that. I mean, because otherwise you're
definitely.
just basically spending all your money on hotels and
Yes.
the killing. You know what I mean? And spending on money between the shows for hotels or whatever. That definitely helped me to get around the world.
Yeah,
So
right.
I mean, I was flying in and out of the Philippines for like I was in and out for like 7 times
Ah,
um, that year. Yeah, and then that part of that tour was in China, and I think at the time we did where did we at? I did, yeah, definitely Shanghai, and then like Chongqing, Chengdu,
oh, yes.
Xiamen.
Yes.
Yeah, Xiamen. I think we were supposed to do Hangzhou, and then I think we got shut down. I literally, when we got off the train, we got a call and they said the show was canceled. Like
Oh,
literally,
no.
one stepped off the train. So you know, it's China. It happens.
Yeah.
But
And did you have
yeah.
any experience there in China? Any good experience or any bad experiences in China?
Well, let me see, man. How many times I've been to China now? I was there in 2016, 17, and was it last year too?
Right.
So I mean, it's been all pretty positive for the most part. I mean, there's definitely like a culture shock of things, or just how people live their daily lives there. And
Yes.
when I was first coming around, it was just like a shock to just see and hear all the the hawking and spitting everywhere, and just because I don't do that, and I'm a little bit more discreet about it, because you do that over here back in LA or California, people just think you're fucking disgusting,
Yeah, that's
you
right.
know. But yeah, and like trying to like blow your nose and clear your nose without a tissue, and like just shooting snot into a trash can, you know what I mean? Or the sound, that was definitely, and I'm a little bit more. I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm a germaphobe, but I'm a little bit more. When it comes to that kind of stuff, I'm a little bit more cautious with with like sanitation and stuff like that, and hygiene.
Yeah.
And that was definitely a shock. But I must say though, like the last time I was there in September last year, things were a little bit more organized and
Nice.
less chaotic and hectic. I was told it's because of the was it the 70th anniversary of the of China or something like that, or it was
Yes.
like
Yeah, it
it
was.
was leading up to it.
Yes.
So people, when I was there, they were saying, yeah, they all changed the they're just telling all the Chinese people to, like, get your shit together and act a little bit more proper or whatever. It's time to be more about just be more proud of ourselves and like present ourselves better because of this our national celebration. So like people were like falling in line, not cutting all each other off, like every, you know what I
Wow.
mean? Like that was
Yeah.
the other thing too. That was a culture shock. Was like people just did not give a fuck about lines.
Yeah, that's
Like
right.
it's
They
just like
don't. They really
it
don't.
was
Yeah.
it was literally like a school of fish, like I don't know, like whatever that is, anchovy or sardines, like all trying to like rush into the middle of that school of fish so they don't get eaten by the seals or the sharks on the outside. Like that's how
Yeah.
the lines were, like, to me. Like everyone's just kind of pushing it to go in at the same time.
Wow.
And
Well,
last time I was there, it wasn't like that, and people were actually like standing off to the side on the escalator, and letting people
oh,
pass. You know what I mean? Like it was,
yes.
it was so much different in that aspect. But other than that, man, I mean, I always have a good time in China. The food's amazing. I love to eat. I'm a
Yeah.
big foodie. So I mean, yeah, it's awesome. I'd go back definitely. I was in Wuhan too last September.
Oh,
Had a great
really?
time.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had a
right.
great time. Fortunately, I left before the
Yes.
the whole pandemic hit. At least 2 months, 2 3 months before it happened. So,
Yeah,
but
right.
yeah, man, it was. yeah, it's yeah, I always have fun in China.
Yeah, well, I was the same. I was in Shanghai when it happened, and like as soon as I found out about it, it was like back to Australia.
Yeah. Where
So
are you in Australia now? What part?
I'm in Newcastle. It's just north of Sydney.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah. So
North.
yeah, I'll go to my family here in this area. So
How
um,
far north is that?
it's about a 2 hour drive north
Oh,
of
okay.
Sydney. Yep.
I have family in Cecil Hills. I want to say that's like west of Sydney. Like it's like an hour or like 45 minutes to the airport there. So I don't.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Cecil's like a little suburb out there.
And
But
have you ever performed in Australia before?
yeah, yeah. That first time was that 2017. Yeah, that was, I did the. Is that Sydney Comedy Club still there at Leo
Yes.
Park? Is that's still
Yeah.
there?
Yes, sir. It is. Yes.
Yeah, I did that with oh man, what's the guy's name again? Tall, old, white, gray hair guy.
Did you get a chance to have a look around, or was it just strictly business?
Oh yeah, no, no. Yeah, I gotta definitely did a lot of sightseeing and stuff. I think that at that point, I think that was my second time in Australia because the first time I was I think it was 2013. I did a lot of sightseeing there.
Oh, nice.
Went to yeah, just pretty much did all the touristy stuff, all the beaches and stuff like that. I think where was I else in Australia? I was there. I did the Gold Coast.
Yes.
Let me see. I was in Melbourne. Did a Comics Lounge. I was there.
Yes.
Dude, that's a cool room. I really like that room.
Yeah.
Comics Lounge. I was in Brisbane. I did Sit Down
Oh, yes.
Comedy Club. Last October I was there in Brisbane.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, yeah, crowds are always, a lot of fun. A lot of fun, and I find that the Australian crowd's a little bit more appreciative of
Yes.
when they're a little bit more appreciative, especially when like American acts come through.
Yeah.
So it's
It's
but
just
yeah,
funny that we get a lot of the American media, and we get all the TV shows, the Hollywood movies, so
yeah,
we're all up to date with all that. And then when somebody comes
right,
in from America and starts telling us all these jokes, it's quite funny. We actually get a kick out of it.
right. Yeah, because that's one thing about Americans, like especially ones that don't travel or
Yes.
ones that just don't, because a lot of Americans just don't. Most Americans don't really travel. A lot of them don't even leave their own county. Honestly, a lot of them don't even leave their own state or whatever. Like they're pretty much. I want to say all, but a lot of them are pretty much just stuck to where they live or the vicinity. And so, Americans just kind of like live in this bubble and point of view where people like they think like Australians are like super foreign, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like South Africans are super foreign when in reality people that live abroad, know a lot more about stuff the average American doesn't even know about or heard of, you know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So
I can
so yeah,
convince. I was convincing these people in the US. I've been there a couple of times myself,
yeah.
and convincing him that it was kangaroos jumping around, and I had a crocodile in the backyard, and I go and play and wrestle. Oh, really? Oh, wow. Is that scary? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, it's okay. You know.
not everyone lives in the outback or the
That's
bush.
right.
You know what I mean? Like isn't it true? I mean, like in Australia, pretty much like the middle part like is all just like wildlife, and everyone else is just kind of like on the
Out there.
outskirts or like on kind of on the coast,
That's
essentially,
it.
right? I mean,
Yeah, yeah. Like
yeah, it's
I think it's like the
yeah,
fifth or sixth biggest country, like landmass, and we only have
yeah.
25 million people, and it's just all along the coast. And
Right, yeah, because a lot of it's unlivable, or you
yeah,
can live there, but it'd be a harsh environment. Yeah, it's like Americans don't get that. Like, it's just like it'd be like over here and saying like in California, like we have like the Mojave Desert, and it's a huge landmass, but like nobody fucking lives there. You
yeah,
know what I
that's
mean?
right.
Like, it's just
Well, I'm thinking maybe Arizona or Vegas. That's pretty
it's
deserty.
all desert.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's all desert, and there's freeways that go to it and freeways that come out of it, and then you have all these little cities, not even cities, like just little shithole towns, that are like that are on the way to the next big town.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, if you ever drive from like Vegas and then go straight up north to Reno, which is like another big, um, you know, gambling casino town as well. I mean, that's a city, but like that whole freeway going up is just like you'll see all these like abandoned brothels and motels along that, and you'll see all these like old billboards for brothels, because like that whole stretch of highway is like it's like time never changed there. It's like all the original stuff is there. There used to be like this whole trucking route. So you get a lot of these truck stops and brothels. Literally, that's all it was. And back in the day too, that used to be a comedy run where you can do all these truck stops and brothels to do comedy and just go straight up north from like Vegas to Reno.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that was back in the day though. That's like that run is done, but yeah, I heard stories of people doing that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So tell me about this tour that we were speaking about before. Like you said, it says here that 8 months you were on tour for. How do you sort of keep motivated? Traveling all the time, doing the shows. Do you change the setup? Do you have different things, or do you keep to a schedule and like to do the same thing at the same shows? How does that all work for you?
My material is pretty universal because there's magic incorporated into it with the comedy, so I don't have to change much. But definitely there's some when you go to certain countries, like you definitely have to watch out what you say. Like if you go to Thailand, you can't like do jokes about the royal family because like they'll put you in jail or
That's right.
shut down the club or fine you or. You know what I mean? So, the same thing in China, you can't talk about certain things.
Yes.
But for me, I don't really have to do much of that, just stuff here and there. And I find I kind of, you just kind of have to be a little bit more careful when you do some of the Muslim countries too. Like if you go to Malaysia, you kind of have to like, because the what do they call that there? The cultural bureau or whatever. They kind of monitor stuff, or they watch for content and stuff like that because it's a Muslim country.
Yes.
But I mean, I really have to do too much. Like I said, I'm not really a dirty comic. I mean, I can do dirty material, but I wasn't not really known for doing dirty comedy just for the sake of doing dirty comedy. Like I can do it if I want to, but I mean, I don't have to do it all the time. Yeah, I don't have to really change too much. But I remember going to like when I was in Sweden, Norway, like they all speak English, perfectly, and they understand you. But the only thing I had to change over there was speaking slower. The tempo that I'm talking to you right now,
yes,
like it's too fast for Norway and Sweden. Like you literally have to. Yeah, you kind of have to talk like this and pronounce every single word. Like you kind of have to like talk like that. Not like talk dumb, but you just have to like slow it down. You know what I mean?
Do they get it?
So
do they get it?
No, they get. Yeah, they get everything. They're smart. I mean, Norway and Sweden are very smart crowds. And they get it all. But and they like hearing English speakers. They like hearing American stuff. I was told when I was there, like they were saying like 70%, 75% of their TV shows are all American shows.
Oh yeah, right.
All their music, that they listen to is American, and movies, like they're all about the American culture and definitely American culture. So I mean, they love that stuff. You just kind of have to speak slower. It's kind of like I know basic Spanish, but as soon as like a fluent Spanish speaker just starts going like
Blah, blah, blah.
you know, bam, 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 bam. Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
like, yo, I just want to order tacos, you know. So, so it's like I lost you. Even like Filipinos, like I don't speak it fluently. I know I can understand it and I know some of it, but
Yeah.
man, when they just start talking like super fast, I'm just like, all right, I kind of I just get the gist of the conversation, but not all of it because I'll miss things because
Yeah.
it's so fast. But material wise, it's just yeah, I don't really have to change much. For me, it's more about like I guess rhythm and timing and pacing of my set. I guess is what
Yeah.
you know. But then I'm a little bit more different. Like I said, my stuff is not just jokes, but there's
Yeah.
visual comedy. It's situational. It's physical. Some of it too. So it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah.
And tell me, like you've been a magician comedian for 12 years now,
Well,
maybe
full
longer.
time.
Yeah.
I've started comedy 15 years. It'll be 15 years next month.
Yeah. Right.
And yeah, doing comedy. But I started I mean, I've been doing magic my whole life. I started magic when I was 6, and I'm 35 now. I'll be 36 in August, so it'll be like 30 years doing magic.
Wow.
So, but yeah, but like full time, as a living would be like 15 years doing it full time. But I mean, I was getting paid to do magic shows since I was 12.
Yeah.
From
Right.
yeah, from junior high to high school, college. Like that was always like my
So let's
side gig to pay for myself.
so let's
Yeah,
talk about that. Like, let's talk about
yeah,
like when did your parents do this before? How did you get involved with the magician and the comedian side?
yeah. Well, the magic, like I said, I started when I was 6, and I got a magic kit for my birthday because I was interested in it. I remember I used to watch David Copperfield on TV as a kid, and
Awesome. Yes.
all these other magicians, Lance Burton, all these Vegas guys, and I was like, oh, that's cool. So I got that magic kit, and I just kind of it stuck. I never really grew out of it. So magic just became this obsession and hobby growing up as a kid, and um, yeah, I was pretty much like the performer of the family, really. Because at the around, like 3 years later, I was taking piano lessons, and I was doing the saxophone. I was in all the bands in school,
Yeah.
drum line. I was just always about performing and the
Yes.
performing arts. Whether it was music or choir or magic, or I was even juggling at one point.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
yeah, I used to juggle. I never really got too good or crazy as like some of the the pros you see nowadays on like cruise ships or the circus. But yeah, I remember when I was learning how to juggle. I got pretty good for a 10, 11-year old, but I never stuck with it. I mean, I stuck with the magic. That's what pretty much kept with up for my life. I used to go to a magic shop when those were still popular, like a brick
Yeah.
and mortar shop. There was one kind of nearby. My dad would take me there, and my parents, and you go hang out there, and it was kind of like for me it was kind of like how comics just kind of hang out at the comedy club and just kind of watch and hang out and observe and learn stuff and chop it up. Like that was like magic shops for me growing up were kind of like that too. How comics hang out at comedy clubs. At one point, they used to have like a magic club for all the kids at this magic shop. So I joined that, and then we would meet, I think, like once a month, and we would put on shows once a week, every Friday night, and do shows for the community.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, so it was just a place to practice, perform, get some stage time, and experience in front of people. So I was doing that for years, and then let me see, my first paid gig I was 12 years old, and I got $75 to do 1 hour for a kid's birthday party.
Oh,
It was
I
crazy.
I have this written down. Like, yeah, you had a birthday party for Christina Milia's daughter? Is that true?
Million, yeah. Yeah. I did that. Man, when was that? Like 2012, I think it was.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah. It was weird because like it's kind of like a children's like indoor playground
Yeah.
type of a thing, like a children's center, and they you can rent it out to do birthday parties and stuff like that. So this children's indoor playground, they called me up to do this birthday party, and I go there, and it ends up being this birthday party for Christina Milian's daughter.
Yeah.
I guess she bought out the place. She bought out the
Wow.
place, and yeah, and I was there, and what's his name was there? Like Carson Daly was there, and
Oh.
all these other like celebrities she was on. I guess at the time she was the one of the correspondents for The Voice, I believe it was. She was there, so yeah, I ended up doing a show for her and her daughter, which was that was fun. She's a sweetheart, and she's gorgeous in person, man. Like
Yeah,
she's
right.
like yeah, like it was just crazy how gorgeous she is. I mean, pictures don't do her enough
Justice.
justice. Honest, yeah. Even with like all these cameras, like
Yeah.
high quality cameras, like I just could not stop staring at her. I was like, oh my god, she's so fucking gorgeous. It was just crazy how pretty she was.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Very nice.
yeah.
And then you went into you got accepted into the Magic Castle. How did all this come about? This was just after this?
Oh, right. Well, the Magic Castle has a junior program for 13 to 20-year-olds. So a buddy of mine at that magic shop that I grew up at, he was one of the junior magicians there, and he was telling everybody, hey, they're having auditions for new members, so you should come try out and see if you can get in. And I've been to the castle maybe like a couple times before that, and it was just a cool place, and it's literally like the mecca of magic, and every magician aspires to perform there or put that on their resume. Um, so I auditioned when I was 13, and I got passed on my first try. And like a lot of magicians, it takes them like 2 or 3 times to get into the junior group. And I got in 13 years old, minimum age, my first try. So that was a pretty cool accomplishment for me at the time.
Yeah,
So
right.
yeah, and the junior group is like they don't really teach you stuff. Like you have to like know your craft already and kind of create and develop stuff there, and they help you with workshops and collaborations and just other professionals who are prominent in the field. And so you basically just kind of use it as a place to develop your own act and your own style and develop material. Every month we would meet once a month and have workshops. Once a year, the juniors do a show for a week at the Magic Castle. It's called Future Stars of Magic.
Right.
So basically, it's like the junior group, the best of the junior group, because you have to audition for that show again. Because normally the club is for adult shows, adult members. They don't
Right.
allow anyone under 21. So it was like a special week where the junior group got to perform for all the adults. So
Hmm.
I started to do that show for like 5 years straight, for like 2000 to 2001 to 2005. And then when you turn 21, you graduate and become a regular adult member of the Magic Castle. And I've just been a member
All
ever
right.
since. Yeah.
So
So
do you go back there often or
yeah, every now and then, just to hang out, watch some shows.
yeah.
It's kind of like a comedy club too, in a sense, where just magicians go out, hang out, shoot the shit, chop it up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they just hang out. There's watch shows. It's kind of like, have you ever been to the comedy store in Hollywood or in
Oh,
LA?
I've been to the one on the Sunset Strip.
Yeah. So it's kind of like that in a sense. It's kind of like that culture in a way. I mean, it's not as like, gritty and grungy like the Comedy Store, but just comics hanging out who aren't really necessarily booked to perform. They just kind of really just hang out. So that's kind of how the Magic Castle is too, in a way.
Yeah,
But
right.
yeah, so it's just hang out, drink, eat, whatever. Everyone's in suits and ties. It's all formal.
Very
It's
professional.
a strict, yeah, it's a strict dress code. It's like super super formal.
And
They turn down anybody. Yeah.
all right. And speaking of which, we were talking about before about you, trying to keep your set, and having, you know, every time you go out on tour, you have new material. And how did you go about selecting what you wanted to do for America's Got Talent? Obviously,
Oh, right.
that was a big occasion for you. It's on
Yeah.
YouTube. So tell me how you made the decision to do that and what the whole process was there.
Yeah. At the time, 'cause I don't know what it is now. Like they probably changed how they do all that. But man, I think how would I start with this story? Well, I auditioned for the show six years in a row, and on the seventh
Yeah,
year,
right.
I finally got in. Yeah, like I was there for actually the first year they did it in the open casting call, and it was a super short line because no one knew about the show. And then the next year, it was like thousands of people lining up. But I would audition like in person. I would submit a video. I would upload a video. I did all this stuff, and finally, the seventh year, I got in. Just I don't know how. I got a casting call from the casting director, and she was telling me my tape somehow landed on her desk, and she liked it, and then she asked me to come in for a private producer audition. So you didn't have to like stand in line and go through all that bullshit with all the other open casting call. So you had a selected time slot. I went there, showed up, I did my thing. What they initially showed on TV wasn't the first routine choice I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So what I auditioned with was another routine that I do,
Was it the
and
card one?
they no, it was with the thing I do with CDs.
Oh,
I
gotcha.
was yeah, I have this thing I do with like CDs. That's how old this act is. I was
Right.
using CDs. So I was doing this thing with CDs, and they liked it. So the first round, they flew me to St. Louis, Missouri. I did the first round, and I got through. Two out of the three judges liked me. At the time, it was Howie Mandel, Howard Stern. It was Howard Stern's first year, and Sharon Osbourne was
Sharon
on
has
it.
one. Yes.
Yeah, so Sharon didn't like me, but the other guys liked me, so they passed me on to go to Vegas.
Right.
So yeah, so that first round, it's crazy. They never aired that first round.
Yeah. What is it?
Yeah, it's just what they do.
Mm.
It's a producer call. It's their
Yeah.
call or director's call. But I mean, that first round, I remember I got that standing O, and I got a standing O mid set. I wasn't even done with the show, my set yet, and they never aired it. I remember walking off the stage going, "Oh man, I'm gonna be a star after this,"
Yeah.
and they never aired it. So I
Oh.
remember I kept waiting. I was like, "When are they gonna air it? When are they gonna air this? When are they gonna air this?" Like I kept waiting, because I went to this next round, to the second round in Vegas, which was the judge's favorite round. So that was the I made top four in the Magic category at that time. So yeah, so I was pretty much I was pretty good to go, but then they allowed the other four magicians who weren't judges' favorites that kind of to do their another routine. I guess it was kind of like a wild card round in a sense too. It
Yeah.
gives them
Right.
another chance to
Yes.
avoid elimination. So after the judges' favorite round in Vegas, that's when I got cut from the show, and that's what they actually aired. They aired that routine, and they didn't air the one where I got a standing O. So
Yeah, right.
but you kind of have to expect it because in the contract there's this thing, some clause in there. I remember reading it where you give up the right to or what is it? Not the right, but you're basically giving permission to present you in a way whether it's positive or negative.
Mm.
So yeah. So they showed my act and they edited it obviously not in my favor and they cut me from the second round. So
Yeah.
basically, how the second round material works is you submit 3 routines that you want to do,
Yes.
and at that time, it was you had to do something in 75 seconds. So I had to figure out something that was quick and visual and big enough to play on this stage because like America's Got Talent now, you can do close up magic, you can do mentalism, you can do all kinds of stuff that is meant for smaller crowds, but at the time in 2012, like they wanted to see big things, big stuff. So you would see all these guys with like big boxes. I think the guy that went up, I had to follow a guy who made a fucking helicopter appear, and and I was just like, all right, how do we follow that?
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, so he made this helicopter appear, and
There was a guy in the
um,
water, and then there was one with the
yeah,
memory of the name. Of,
yeah, the mentalist. One was a mentalist. One was an escape artist. One was a guy with who made motorcycles appear and helicopters appear, and
wow.
I was doing more simple stuff with CDs and the stuff that
Yes.
that actually aired was with me in a cardboard box where I would like try to
Yes.
cut myself in half. So so basically everyone submits 3 routines that they want to do, and then it's the producer picks the routine that you're gonna do out of the 3. So I
Right.
kind of have it. So I kind of have a say, but I don't have a say because that routine that I ended up doing wasn't like my first
Choice.
pick. You know what I mean? It
Yes.
was my first choice. I would have rather done other things, but the show is scripted and it's written,
Yeah,
so
it's true.
it's not a reality shows aren't true reality. It's always it goes in a direction of a story. You know.
Yes. What's your opinion
So
on
yeah.
on the whole experience with that? Did and reality TV? What do you think about that?
I mean, for that, I mean, I had a good experience. It was a fun experience. It was definitely a lot of good. It was definitely a lot of fun and good memories coming from that. And yeah, I mean, it was just so satisfying to finally get on that show 7 years later.
Yes.
But yeah, after it aired and they cut me and they made me look bad, I was kind of I was bummed out for a while because the whole time I'm thinking like, oh man, once they air that first round, man, I like this is it. This is where my
Blow
career
up.
takes off. Yeah, this
Yeah.
is where I blow up.
Yeah.
Right, and it didn't happen. So that was like that was the first disappointment, and the second disappointment was how they edited me into the
Yeah.
show. So I was like, oh man, this is terrible. Like I waited like 7 years, and this is how it ends.
Yes.
But I'm still glad I did the show because if it weren't for America's Got Talent, I would have never been able to do all that international tours or any of these clubs here
Yes.
headlining. Because America's Got Talent, like as soon as you say you're on America's Got Talent, like people
There
will
you go.
just
Bang.
they'll just book you. Whether you not you won, you just become so much more marketable.
Yes.
So I didn't really work a lot after that first year I was on after the show aired. I didn't work a lot, but the following year it was crazy. Like I just started I just started working way more. Like things started to pick up. It was gradual. It wasn't looks like it all came at once, but like 20 because that show's 2012. Yeah, so 2013 things started to pick up more. I started going on the road and headlining more stuff, and definitely that America's Got Talent credit really boosted my value and marketability as a headliner.
Yeah.
And because it's all about your draw in some of
Of
these
course.
markets and some of these
Yes.
clubs, and so yeah, and then America's Got Talent. Like, I honestly think America's Got Talent is way more huge abroad than it is here in the U.S.
Yes.
In my opinion, I mean, because I was in South Africa like in 2017, and I was doing some shows out there, and afterwards I just went to hang out at a club with some other local comics, and the bouncer recognized me from America's Got Talent.
Oh,
He's like, hey,
cool.
I was like, yeah. He's like, hey man, you're Justin, right? And I'm like, yeah. How do you know? He's like, oh, America's Got Talent, man. I watched this show. We always watch that show. And I go, wait, that was 5 years ago. He's like, yeah, but they still play a lot of the other seasons on the show of the show. So I'm like, oh shit.
Mm.
So I started to realize that America's Got Talent is worldwide syndication. Whether it's the latest season or an old season, like they still play it somewhere in some
Yeah.
country. It's crazy, man. Like,
Wow.
yeah, like Seinfeld is like the biggest show
Yes.
in Brazil.
Oh,
Like
right.
it's like one of the big, yeah, like they just got hooked. They just found out about Seinfeld a few years ago,
Ah.
and like they love they love Seinfeld.
Yeah.
So so yeah, and at the time when I got on the show, like I didn't really think of that in terms of like of international and global reach, but once the opportunity came to do international, man, it was just yeah. Let me headline here. America's Got Talent, Comedy Central, blah blah blah.
Yes.
And it just started to book, and that's how I was able to book all those shows for 8 months. It was just so much easier to headline these clubs or small theaters or whatever, or festivals. Just show them that clip was like a minute or two of me on America's
Yeah.
Got Talent,
Oh my
and it's
God.
like, yeah, oh yeah, this guy,
Sign this
you
guy.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, and like a lot of people, um, they go, man, you look so familiar, like, and they start to realize, oh, you're on America's Got Talent, and that's enough for them to book me, because it's like they don't even remember what I did on the show. Honestly, a lot of like a lot of bookers don't even know what I did on the show.
Yeah.
Or people come up to me after the show and say, "Oh yeah, I saw you on America's Got Talent, and that's why we came." So, at the end of the day, it wasn't even like they they came because they saw me do bad on America's Got Talent. They just came because they wanted to see a guy from America's Got Talent. You know what I mean? So yeah, so it was crazy, man. So that's why I always say, like, any sort of TV exposure, whether it's big or
Yes.
small, you just never know. You really never know.
What's the saying?
So,
There's no what's the saying? There's no such thing as bad publicity, right?
oh, bad publicity, yeah. I mean, it's very true in a sense. Like, I mean, if they're talking bad about you, at least they're still talking about you.
That's
You
right.
know,
That's right. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
it's just yeah, it's just how it is. That's the game, honestly. So,
And you were
um,
talking earlier just about the Comedy Central with
oh
David
right,
Attell. So
yeah, David Tell.
was that before or after that, or after that?
That was 4 years before I did America's Got Talent.
Oh,
Comedy
right.
Central was,
Okay.
yeah, that was like my first big TV credit was Comedy Central with David Tell. Adam Carolla was on the show. Yeah, that was fun. That was a cool experience, and I got to meet and hang out with Dave. He's actually such a really cool, really nice guy, and super fucking funny. I love David Tell. Um, but yeah, he's a cool dude, and I'll see him, randomly over the years at a festival or a club, and be like, hey man, what's up? remember Gong Show? And yeah. Oh, he's like, oh yeah, yeah. No, I remember you. You did that. You did that act with. He's like, you did that act with the CDs. And I was like, oh yeah, yeah,
The
that's me.
CDs.
The CD. That's how old it was. That's how
Yeah.
old, long time ago it was. But yeah, no, he's always been cool, and that was fun. And it was just another thing to add to the reel and TV credit when I to book clubs and headline spots or whatever it was. You know, but yeah, but that America's Got Talent clip definitely took my career to the next level. I'm
Mm.
not, like I said, I'm not super famous or rich or anything, but it changed my performance schedule drastically.
Right.
So it just kept me honestly, it just kept me busy, kept me working. But yeah,
And
but Comedy Central was the first one that I did. Comedy Central Asia, Stand Up Asia, 2 years ago. So that was a fun thing as well to do. We filmed that in Malaysia.
that's
So
awesome.
yeah,
I
what were you
think
gonna say?
actually, I think I
Sorry.
saw some of that set on YouTube as well. I wanted to
Yeah.
ask, also with it also says that you've performed for the troops in the Navy, and the Army, Marine, and the Air Force.
Oh, yeah,
Tell us
yeah.
about that experience.
Yeah, I started doing military shows in I want to say 2014 is when I started doing them. I did my first one was at it was Kyrgyzstan. Yeah,
Right.
so there used to be American troops there, but they got they were basically told to leave right after I had left. So when I did this show, there was only like 300 people on this base, and at one point it was like 6,000 people. So they're not there anymore, and I guess because Russia was telling Kyrgyzstan to kick out the Americans. So we did this we did this show over there, and it was cool. It was a fun experience. It was definitely a trip, especially in Kyrgyzstan, because like their alcohol content is like so strong. It's like it's not like really like
Are they into the
having
vodka?
they're no they're into like beers, and they had this like it was crazy. It was like a wine, but it's like a wine, but it doesn't taste like a wine, but it was so strong. And like they would they would have to regulate this alcohol in the base because it was so strong. So what they would do is they would pour it into these small cups and cover it with plastic saran wrap, and that was your portion because they didn't want people on the base getting too fucked up because it was so
So
strong.
strong.
It was crazy.
Ah.
But yeah, we got to go to the off base there in Kyrgyzstan. It's definitely an experience, man. The following year, I did this tour with let me see, where was I at? It was in Italy. Oh, it was a Mediterranean. They called it a Mediterranean tour. It
Yeah.
was Italy, Greece, Turkey, and Jordan. So yeah, we did 3 weeks overseas there, and that was a trip too. That was fun. We in Turkey we got to see a lot of the famous mosques and the bazaars and things like that. Jordan too, and I think at the time in Jordan we were staying at this base that was near the border of it was near Saudi Arabia and Syria. At the time, I don't know if you remember, but I want to say like a month or two before I got there, Syria had captured one of the Jordanian fighter pilots,
Oh
and
wow.
yeah, and burned. I think it was a female actually, burned her alive in front of everybody for the world to see. And so Jordan was kind of was going at it with Syria at the time. So we were on this base where they were the whole time we were there, it was just constant like just jets and planes leaving and landing. Dude, it was crazy.
Wow.
And they put us up in this like it was kind of like I don't know what the term for it is, but it's basically all these bunk beds, but it's kind of like a tent, but it's like a makeshift tent with all these bunk beds in it, and it has its own AC unit, but it was literally like right next to the runway, so it was just like
Wow.
yeah, so it was just like yeah, and I think the base commander at the time was telling us that like yeah, every time you hear these planes take off, you can be sure that it's going over to Syria to drop bombs. It was a trip to like kind of to to be there, and we weren't in like an active war zone. We were like next to a war zone.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was definitely an experience. Greece was amazing. The food was amazing there. It's just beautiful over there. Same thing with Italy. We went to Sicily as well, and I remember going to was it Sicily or Italy? I think it was Sicily where we had horse meat, and it was actually very tasty. Honestly, it was so soft and tender and juicy. It was I was just so shocked how good horse meat tastes. Because my first thought was that horse meat would have been like really tough and lean, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you see horses are so muscular, and but yeah, it was actually very good, and I'd eat it again. um, it's like a flap steak. You ever had like a flat or a skirt steak or something like that? But yeah, it was better than beef, honestly. Yeah, that was fun. I think I was on a military tour last October last year, and I went back to Jordan and what were the other countries I did? Oh, I did Bahrain and Kuwait and Qatar, and that was a trip too. That was a trip. I was
Is there anywhere that you haven't been to,
oh
or
man,
that you'd like to go to?
yeah, I haven't really hit up much of Europe. Yeah,
Yeah, right.
really. Yeah, I've done Scandinavia, but I haven't been to like the UK. I always want to do the UK comedy scene. I haven't been there.
All right.
I definitely want to. I want to see France at some point. And what else is out? Oh, Germany. Germany's got a great comedy scene from what I've heard, and
Hmm.
Ireland, and all these places that I definitely want to go see a lot more of Europe, and I definitely want to see a lot of South America. I haven't really done South America
Mm.
at all. So
You have to start. You have to
um,
start getting the Seinfeld jokes out,
yeah, right,
or
yeah,
start
yeah,
quoting Seinfeld in
yeah.
Brazil.
Seinfeld, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I just want to. I want to be able to travel more once this pandemic is over. I want to go. I want to do the Caribbean.
Oh,
The food's
nice.
amazing there. They have a comedy scene there, and the food's
All
amazing
right.
there.
And make sure you
Africa.
put
What's that?
Australia back on the list.
Yeah,
Australia.
yeah, definitely.
Do another
Australia's always a
tour.
good. Yeah, Australia's always fun, man. I definitely do like coming back to Australia. Um, where else have I not been? I definitely want to go see more of Africa because that was pretty.
Mm.
Africa is amazing, man. Have you been? Have you been
No,
to?
I've never been to
Have you been?
Africa. It's on my list of
Yeah.
places to
Oh my
go.
gosh. Like I did. I was doing shows in Johannesburg,
Oh,
Durban,
nice.
and Durban and Cape Town, and man,
So
Cape Town is just
what were
amazing.
the fans like there? Like, how were they reacting to your shows there in South Africa?
Yeah, I mean, they were it was fun, man. It was all positive, man. The scene, the South African scene, the comedy scene is so thriving, man. Like, and not only is it just thriving, but man, there's so many smart comics there,
Right.
and they're so funny, man. Like, I just
Yes.
like, man, I just couldn't. I was just, I didn't, I had no idea. Honestly, man, I had no idea that they were so good there and so just clever and intelligent, man. Like, not that I thought they were dumb or anything, but you know what I mean. Like, there's just that wasn't one of the scenes that I thought that would just blow me away. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And but yeah, I mean, the crowds were really cool and fun. like that Cape Town Comedy Club it's so fun. It's so fun to perform there, and the crowds there are
Yeah.
just so awesome, and the people there are cool, and I had a good time, man. South Africa is definitely one of the more places where I had to definitely be more aware of my surroundings and safety. It wasn't just people that were telling me this before I went there, like it was like
Yes.
Uber drivers like, hey man, like, oh my god, okay, I got to tell you these stories. I had to take an Uber everywhere because taking the regular taxis, like they'll just try to rip you off because they know you're not from there. And at the time too, Uber drivers and regular taxi drivers were having like a war. Like
I think
we,
we still are.
they still, yeah. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised. They were going through this war, and like it went as far as like some of these taxi drivers were setting Uber cars on fire. Like they
Wow.
were. I think I was reading there, like they were talking about firebombing
Oh my
Uber drivers'
God.
cars. Yeah, it got crazy. So I would only take an Uber for safety reasons, and so I got into this Uber, and I usually just sit in the back, right? But the Uber driver goes, "Hey, would you mind sitting up front with me?" I was like, "No, no, not at all. I'll sit up front." So he goes, "Yeah, I mean, sorry about that. It's just that if you sit in the back, then then it'll look like you're a tourist, and it looks like
Yes.
I'm a driver for you. So we'll stick out and look like a target. So if you sit up front with me, then it just looks like two people driving together, you know?" I was like, "Oh, okay, no, that makes a lot of sense for sure. Yeah, no, I'll sit up front. I gotcha."
Wow.
Yeah. So and then another Uber, the they were he was taking me to the show, and he was using Waze to get to the show, and he goes, "Hey, is it okay if I don't use the Waze app to get there?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man. I mean, just however you feel will get us there faster and quicker, whatever. I mean, you know the area better than me. I don't know anything about this place." So he goes, "Yeah, okay. I'll take you to around here because he goes, Waze doesn't know that these streets are dangerous." he goes
My
he goes
God.
Waze is taking us on a route that's known for like crime and carjackings and
Oh.
and being robbed. He's like, "I don't want to drive through that." And these are local drivers. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
these aren't like foreigners.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like these are local drivers. He's like, "Oh
Jeez.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Like definitely let's not drive through there." And then I remember coming back from a gig, and the Uber driver's like, he's like, "Oh, just to let you know, at this time of night, I only do rolling stops. I don't do complete full stops at the stoplight
Wow.
because if I see somebody try to run up on us and try to carjack us, it's easier to
Get
do a
away.
getaway because
Wow.
we're still rolling as opposed to like a standstill and then taking off, right?"
Wow.
So I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, for sure, yeah, do do those
Well,
rolling stops."
you know what? I had the same. I had the
And
same. I had the same problem. Same thing in actually Brazil. I've been to South America, and we did
yeah,
the same thing. When we come to a traffic light, we didn't actually stop. We just kept
right,
rolling, and
rolling to it,
then
right,
yeah, because if you stop, they can punch the window, they can open up their door, and
right.
they can steal your, whatever. And yeah, so they're saying, I was going, why aren't we stopping?
It Yeah, yeah, it's a trip, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
crazy. And also that Uber driver that told me to sit up front, he goes, yeah, so it doesn't look like, you're a tourist in an Uber. And he goes, also, like, sit up front with me, so just in case if someone attacks you from your side of the window, I can help you fight back, right? And then he goes, I can't help you if I'm sitting up front and you're sitting behind me. I can't help you fight back if you're getting attacked in the back. So sit up front. So if you get attacked on your side, I can help fight you up front. And he goes, also, if I get attacked on my side, you can help me fight them. I'm like, oh, dude, I'm not here. I'm not I'm not trying to fight anybody. Dude, if they're attacking you on your side, I'm either gonna fight back or taking off or running somewhere.
That's it.
I ain't sticking around. So yeah, that made me laugh when I was in the Uber. I was laughing to myself. I was like, oh man, what the fuck did I get myself into, man? This is a trip.
Well, actually, you have heard about
Yeah.
that in South Africa as well,
Yeah.
but also in South America. So just how lucky we are in our sort of countries but you never know, that might happen to us as well.
You never know, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was
I
the one
remember,
thing. Well, sorry, that was the one thing that I found out about China. That would never happen. Never. It was the safest.
Right.
The safest place that I've ever been to.
Yeah, I feel safe anywhere in China. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
other places were just crazy.
Yeah, like you don't really like. There's not too many places like even in the city where like, oh, this is a bad area. Like, don't go. You know what I mean? Like you could just
Yeah.
kind of walk anywhere. Honestly, like I never felt unsafe. I mean, South Africa, man. Like you always kind of had to just be aware of your surroundings and.
Yeah.
I mean, like, just I mean, because South Africa is like poverty and the income gap is just so drastic. Like
Right.
you're either like poor or like you're either upper middle class or rich. Like the one thing that had me concerned too, the first thing I saw in Johannesburg was like a lot of the houses there have electric fences. I'm not even joking, man.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these places have not just a fence or gate, but it's an electric fence because that's how bad the crime is out there. Like it's insane. Like to see, I've never seen that many electric fences on just regular houses, anywhere. And yeah, it's a trip, man. Like the crime and robberies and stuff like that. Like you just got to be careful. I remember coming to a gig, and I had all my stuff in the trunk,
Right.
and I was telling the driver, I was like, "Hey, could you pop the trunk, please?" He goes, I'll open the trunk when you get to the trunk because if I pop it open now, people anywhere from the sidewalk can open the trunk and just grab your stuff and run. I was like, oh, good call. I was like, thanks for letting me know, man. Yeah, man. And yeah, it was it was a crazy, as crazy as it was. It was like one of the most fun and interesting experiences and trips that I've taken because it was just such another world there, man. I mean, it was a trip, man. It's gorgeous too, man. The food there is, I love the food there too. Food's great, and the culture is just beautiful, and the sights are amazing, especially in Cape Town.
Yeah.
And if you ever go to Cape Town too, man, you gotta dude, you have to watch out for the beggars and the people that are just trying to living on the street, man. Like I had this guy follow me for like 5 blocks, just going. He was doing this. Please, sir. Please, sir. Please, sir. I'm hungry, sir. Please, sir. Please, sir. Just a little money, sir. Please, sir. Like literally, like that like rhythm and persistence.
Yeah.
Like I'm not even exaggerating. Like it wasn't like, sir, I'm hungry. Can you spare some money? It was literally, please, sir, I'm hungry, sir. Please, sir, I'm hungry. Just a little money, sir. Like, dude, he would it was like nagging me for like 5 blocks, and he just stopped and left. There was this other guy on the street. He was like, I was trying to find some like farmers market to check it out, the local stuff, and this guy's like, hey man, you looking for something? You need help? I'm like, I'm just trying to get to this farmers market. He's like, I know where it's at. I'll take you there. And I was like, are you gonna really take me there, or are you gonna take me to somewhere to get ambushed,
Yes.
robbed. You know what I mean? So I was just like, I don't know what. I eventually just was like, I'm just trying to get some like some good local food, man. Where's the good local food at? He's like, it's over here. Like, follow me. So fortunately, it was at a Sunday afternoon, so there's a lot of people out, and it's a lot, and it's still daylight.
Yeah.
But I was following him, but I wouldn't follow him like on the sidewalk. I would follow like I was kind of walking on the street by the cars, so because I didn't want to get like jumped from an alley or whatever. So so I was just walking, following him. I'm like, hey man, where is this market at? Like, then that's when it dawned on me that like, oh, okay, this guy was just like bullshitting me to like so he could take me somewhere to like
Wow.
give him money or buy him food. So I was like, hey man, like, dude, I was kind of frustrated. I was like, all right, man, whatever, dude. I'm just gonna eat here because it was a long line. I figured the food must be good. So I ordered food and I ordered this guy food. I'm waiting for my food and he orders like a sandwich, right? So I pay for his food ahead of time, and then you're not gonna believe this. This motherfucker takes the sandwich, returns the sandwich, gets a
Oh,
refund, gets a fucking refund, my money, and he goes, "Hey man, I'm just gonna go around the corner and just grab some coffee." And like, I'm like, whatever, man. I was like, dude, that was the first time where I admit like I got hustled, so because I never saw that coming, dude. I
yeah.
never saw that coming. I never thought you could just return a sandwich. And like the cashier was like, that's he obviously knew I paid for him, so why would he just give him the money and this guy takes off? I'm like, oh, all right. Well, in my head, I'm like, all right, well, you definitely earned your hustle. you definitely you definitely earned it because like I never saw that coming, and I was kind of impressed actually that he fooled me because I'm a fucking magician.
Yeah.
So and I did not see that coming at all. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, you just gotta be careful in South Africa,
Yes.
man.
I tell you, it's exactly the same with Brazil. I got all the yeah, I just hear you talking about all these things, and I have exactly the same experiences in Rio de Janeiro and São
Yeah,
Paulo, especially two of the the most populous cities in the world, and very very poor, and then you've got the very very rich, and then
right, right, right.
no sort of in the middle. And I took the wrong bus. I couldn't speak Portuguese, and
Oh,
anyway, I
wow.
got dropped off at the bus station and they couldn't understand, and then my phone died, and then oh my
Oh,
god, and then I ended up going into like a hairdresser's, and they thought I was a mute because I couldn't. I'm trying to like show them my English Portuguese book
right.
translation. I'm lost, and they went, oh, they brought a guy out that spoke English, and he said, I'll take you back to the hotel, and I was like, mm, how about you just show me how to get back there, and then I will. No, 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 no. I'll take you. Me and my friend will take you. And I was like, oh, what do I do? Do I do I get in the car and go back with these guys, or find my
Right.
own way? And it's like, okay, okay, I'm gonna go. I'll go.
Yeah.
And they took me. They did. They took me back to the hotel, back with my friend.
Wow.
Yeah, the next day I actually bought him like I can't remember what like a basket
Right.
full of food,
Right.
and just appreciate your gesture,
Oh,
but I
that's
could have been
awesome.
yeah I could have ended up in the laneway or somewhere.
Right, right. So you went back to that place and gave him food,
No,
or how?
no, my friend did. She was actually Brazilian, and she
Ah,
actually went back him and thanked him so much for being so hospitable and for actually taking me back.
wow.
Who
Yeah.
knows what would have happened because my phone was dead.
Right, right,
So
right. What are you gonna do? Oh,
it was
that's
just a
terrible, man.
crazy situation. So yes, I
Yeah.
totally understand. So if I go to South Africa, I'm going to be a hard ass and be very prepared. Like
You gotta be,
like
yeah, you definitely gotta be careful, man. I mean, in Durban, I didn't really have to worry too much in Durban on the coast, like on the eastern coast of South Africa.
yeah.
Um, so, but definitely Cape Town, man. Cape Town, Johannesburg, just I'd say Cape Town more than Johannesburg, but yeah, they just always gotta be more mindful there. I was in Cape Town and I wanted to go see the penguins, in
All
South
right.
Africa. Yeah. So I was asking the people at the hotel, like, hey, I was like, hey, I mean, what's the best way to get down there that's a little bit more affordable? And they go, well, do you want to travel like a tourist or do you want to travel like a local? And I was like, how bad could it be? I'll just travel like a local because I mean, people speak English in South Africa, so I was like, all right, I'll travel like a local. So
Yes.
but the guy at the hotel uh, had one of his friends take me to this kind of like a bus terminal in like this like local mall. Like it's not like your you know shopping mall. It's like the local mall where all the locals go to like get random stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's just like a gritty looking outdoor mall.
Yes.
And they have this like bus terminal, but it's not buses. It's all these vans like with a sliding door.
Yeah.
And they're basically like miniature buses where they pack all these people in this like um, in this van.
Oh wow.
And there's a driver and there's a guy who who takes care of the money, and then there's a third guy there who just kind of stands up and opens and closes the door and hops out and tells people that they're there and to what stop they're at. So I get into this van and it just drives us around, stops and goes, stops and goes, and it's packed in this van. It's just like it's just, and they actually converted it too to add more seats in it, so it's like even more packed, right? And and it took me to this train station. So I had to go take this train station all the way down, and the train station, the train, what do you call it? The line ends because I guess the rest of the track wasn't finished, so I couldn't go all the way down. So from the train station, I had to take an Uber down, see the penguins, and then do the same thing coming back up. And when on the way back up after the penguins, I'm taking the train, and I swear the train like kept shutting down like 3 times. And
Wow.
I was like, damn man, like, am I gonna get stuck out here on this fucking train?
Yeah.
Like, and um, I wasn't too worried because like little kids were getting on the train and from school, in their school uniforms and backpacks, like they were getting on the train and they were hanging out. So I'm like I think I should be cool. I should be good here because there's women and children on this train and I should be fine. And it's daytime,
Yeah.
so I'm looking out and like I see all these like. What started to worry me though is that like people would start to jump off the train and just start walking, and I'm like, shit, should I start walking too? Like, well, but I don't even know where I'm gonna go, So I'm just gonna stay on this train. So I look out the window, and I can see like the train conductor like hopping out, looking at the train tracks, looking at the wheels, looking at something underneath the train. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And finally, like, this train starts to pick up power again. Then later I found out that the train isn't reliable and it always stops because people steal the copper wiring on these train tracks that power the trains, and they steal the copper wiring cables, the copper cables, and they scrap it for metal and they get money for that. So
Wow.
sometimes these trains lose power because people are stealing the copper cables that supply power to the trains. So
Mm.
that's why all these trains stop. And I'm like, oh shit, that's crazy. So I finally get back to the hotel, and it's a different person at the counter, and they're like, hey, welcome. What'd you do today? I was like, I took a van to go to the train station to go see the penguins, and they're like, you did what? I was like, oh, I just did some local transportation to go see the penguins, and they go, are you crazy? I was
Insane.
like, yeah. And they're like, I'm like, why? He's like, you could have been murdered today, right? And I was like, really? I mean, I didn't feel too unsafe, and like, but yeah, man, but they're saying like you just don't really understand. Like, you stick out. You're obviously not from here.
Mm.
So, you really took a chance on like trying to see these penguins. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
shit.
It must have
Well,
been good penguins.
I know, man. I mean, good thing nothing happened, man.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
I don't know if I'll do that again, but
yeah, definitely.
yeah.
So let's talk about this. Also, I was doing a bit of research and saw that you did some work with One Republic. Tell us about that, and the Black Eyed Peas as well.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. One Republic, they were doing this music video for I think it was a song "Love Runs Out." It was like one of their singles at the time. This is like 2014,
Right.
and uh, they had this. The music video concept was like this. It's such a weird like. I don't know if you've ever seen the music video, but it's such like a weird avant-garde type of experimental um, scene, like all these different weird shots and costumes and characters, and they wanted a magician to play like this warlock looking type of character,
Right.
right? And they wanted me to like make fire appear out of my hands and
Oh
smoke
wow.
appear out of my hands and stuff like that. And so I was pitching them some ideas about what I can do, and they ended up using me with fire in my hands, like making fire appear. And I was in the video for like 1 second, like a split second. It was if you blink, you'll miss it. That's how quick it was. So, but yeah, I ended up on that, and I got to meet the band really quick, and they were really cool and friendly, and yeah, nice guys, and yeah, man. I think I was there. It was crazy because I think I was on set for like 10 hours,
Wow.
and because they shot my scene last, and um, what do you call it? And I think they actually filmed me for like, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, and then that was it. And I was there for like 10 hours. So, but I got paid for it, so it was cool. It was a fun experience. So sometimes I'll get you know calls to do like consulting work. Basically,
Yeah.
that was like a consulting gig to do like how can we incorporate magic into this music video.
Yeah.
Um, McDonald's hit me up to do magic for some of their marketing meetings, and they actually hired a yoga instructor,
Yeah. Right.
a feng shui artist, a feng shui expert, and then a magician, which is me. And we had to like do all what we do for like marketing executives, and like they would take notes. And I'm like, I have no idea what you guys want from me, but the guy who was running is like, oh no, you're doing great. Like, I know it may seem weird that, you know,
Taking
uh,
notes.
yeah, they're just taking notes and they're kind of reacting and like, because basically they were giving us like, each one of us had to do present our expertise with a theme. Like they would give us like three themes or like something about perception and illusion or whatever, something like that, and we had to like present the topic using our talents as like examples. So it wasn't like a show. Like I would do a trick and explain how this trick would work psychologically and how why this stuff like that. And they were like, oh wow, okay, and then like they would take notes. And I have no idea how they use that information to come up with a marketing campaign for McDonald's, but that's what they
Yeah.
do. These like they're basically like kind of like it's kind of like a think tank type of thing,
Yeah.
but for marketing. And but yeah, that was an experience. Another consulting thing. The one for Black Eyed Peas was Apple the app. He's actually Filipino. One of the guy who usually has like a mohawk. That guy. He's Filipino, and he has this charity organization for the Philippines that helps families out in the Philippines. So
Yeah. Right.
yeah, so we would do shows for him, like fundraiser shows for him and his organization. And yeah, man, Apple is Apple the App's a cool guy too, really friendly. He's really like approachable and just easy to talk to. He's not like, a celebrity that, you're like can't talk to or like, you know what I mean? Like he's just
You
really cool
know,
and down to earth.
at the end of the day, everybody's all human,
Yeah, exactly. It's just, you like sometimes when you meet celebrities or famous people, like you just kind of have this, you think they're like too big or something like that. And some of them are like, some of them
Yes,
definitely
that's true.
treat you like you're
Oh, I'm
you're
the
not
rock
good
star.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a rock star, but
Yeah.
like fortunately for me, like I really haven't had that problem with meeting celebrities. I do think actually the one celebrity that like acted like a big shot around me was George Lopez. I remember
Oh,
that. That was
really?
interesting. Yeah, that was interesting.
What happened there?
What's that?
Just had a bad attitude, or just?
I mean, like we were talking, and then like he would just like we were talking, and then once he found out that I was like a comedian and magician, he just literally turned around and walked away. It was just like the weirdest, like, because we were just talking, and like, yeah, and then he just left, like mid conversation. It was weird,
Wow.
and yeah, just walked off. It was weird. But yeah, other than that, I mean, like, I always had really um, any celebrity I met was always pretty cool, and down to earth.
Yeah.
But
So
but
there you
yeah,
go.
man.
And let's wrap it up here. So,
Yeah,
what's the plans for the future for Justin Rivera after
man. Yeah. After the pandemic,
the pandemic? Yes, I should have mentioned that. Yes.
yeah, there's not really much in the future. Literally everything got canceled for me this year.
Yes.
So, also it also, I guess it's kind of like a blessing in disguise for me because, I was always working and performing so much and traveling that I never really had time to like work on projects that I wanted to pitch, for TV or,
Right.
whatever. So the time now, I've been really trying to work on more social media stuff and writing sketches and filming and editing stuff like that. Definitely writing more material and more jokes and working on ideas for scripts and for sitcoms and stuff like that. So definitely there's been a lot of time to get creative energy out and
I did see some
you
videos on Instagram there where you're doing some little videos.
yeah, because that's all we can really do right now,
Yeah,
honestly,
that's
man.
true.
Like, all the live shows are done, so we kind of have to just go where the people go, which is online.
Yes.
And whether it's a Zoom show or putting out funny content, just trying to like
Keep
um,
it pretty occupied.
get out there more. Yeah,
Yes.
get out there more and still be in people's minds and let them know you're still around and still trying to create and be funny and do things. So you know, uh, now's the time for how I look at it is like now's the time for me to like start changing up my social media
Yes.
and trying to just get followers now, because
Yes.
at the end of the day too, it started the comedy market is also starting to turn to not just your TV credits or film roles or whatever. A lot of it has to do with social media now too. It's like, does this guy have a social media presence? Is he going to be able to promote our shows on his social media as far as like the venues and the clubs go?
Mm.
Does he have a following?
Yes.
Is he in? Not only does he have a following, or like, is his engagement up there with his followers? Because like some people, buy followers to get their numbers up, but then you look at their posts and it's like 10 likes. You know what I mean? So it's like, do is
Yes.
like so like nowadays it's not even like based on how many followers you have now. It's like it's the amount of engagement with your post or whatever your content is now.
That's right. That's right.
So it's like, so now, I mean, the game has changed so much in terms of marketing yourself in showbiz. So, I have to start uh, adapting to that, and and that's just hard to do when you're always out on the road traveling. Like you don't really have time to do that. Not only do you have time, you're not even aware of that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
you're literally just like, all right, I got this show, I gotta get there, and I gotta set up, I gotta shower, I gotta do a sound check. I gotta get my merchandise together. You're
Yes.
not thinking about your online presence.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. So
Yeah, you post, yeah,
do you have someone doing that for you, or are you just doing it yourself?
in terms of like social media
So
marketing.
social media? Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, for now, I'm doing it myself, and because I have the time for it now. But I
And
think,
And
yeah,
also, sorry, I wanted to ask. It's always an interesting question with my international, guests. Do you have an agent, or have you had an agent previously, or do you book
yeah,
your own gigs?
yeah, it's a little bit of both. I have an agent for cruise ships. Um, I had an agent for college or university shows. Um, but as far as like comedy, I'm pretty much self booking myself. Because honestly, you know, um, once you just start hanging out and getting to know people and meeting the right people, you can just book yourself. You don't really need to
Yes.
pay somebody 10%. Honestly, like a lot of the stuff I got on my own was just through knowing this comedian or knowing so and so, or this producer knows this guy, and you know what I mean. So it's like you didn't really need an agent to get booked in comedy. Comedy. I
Yes.
mean, back in the day, I mean, like the 80s and 90s, in terms of like American comedy, yeah. I mean,
Yes, you would
there
have.
was always, yeah, sure. I mean, there was always comedy agents that just knew all the clubs and
Yes.
get you in. But like nowadays, there's so many clubs, and there's just people are just so more accessible now that you don't really need an agent to do
Yeah.
comedy. So I self book a lot myself for clubs and private events or corporate events or whatever. And I literally um, made all my contacts and bookers and producers just by hanging out and meeting other comedians. And that's why it's so good it's so important, I should say, to always try to do well and always try to have a good set, whether it's a small room or a big room or whatever show it is. I mean, with the exception of an open mic, you're supposed to, bomb there. But I mean, when you do like these shows where they book you to perform and pay you, like you should do well because you just never know who's watching.
Exactly.
Because a lot of bookers too, a lot of them ask the opinions of other comedians that they trust, and they're like, "Hey, what do you think of Justin Rivera? Or what do you think of so and so? Is he good? Is he funny? Is he, you know what I mean?" And they're like, "Oh yeah,
Yes.
no, he's great. I mean, every time I see him, he kills or whatever.
Yes.
Oh, he's a good guy. Like yeah, you should book him. So a lot of it's booking through that, or like a lot of it's like a comic or somebody will see like, hey man, I think you're awesome, man. You should do this room because you do great there. You should hit up this guy. And some of them even say, hey man, just let them know I sent you, blah blah blah, and and there you go. So that's why it's important to always to do well, even if it's a guest spot, because like a guest spot is like your calling card.
Yes.
Your 5 7 minutes is basically saying, hey, this is me, and this is why you should book me. So you should have a killer 5 to 7 at least, and clean too, because you just never know.
Yeah.
You
Right.
never know. So
Exactly.
yeah, you don't have to be a clean comic, but at least have a clean 5 minutes, because some of these clubs just don't want dirty stuff. And until you decide to figure out that's the market you want to work, whether it's clean or dirty, then pursue that. But if you're not prominent or established in any of those scenes or markets yet for dirty comedy, then you should just try to work clean as much as you can while you're still coming up. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And not I'm not knocking dirty comedy because I think it's funny, and there are awesome dirty comics. But when you're not famous or you don't have a name, it's harder to get booked as a dirty comic,
Yes,
you
of
know,
course.
in that sense. So advice to anybody listening, working on 5 7 minute sets, you know, keep that in mind.
Yeah,
So
excellent. Yeah. Is there anything that you want to promote, social medias, any sponsors that you want to sort of give a shout out to?
yeah, well, I have a podcast. I have some episodes up right now, and some of them are being put out later on.
Justin,
But
I tried to download that on through your Instagram link and it doesn't work.
oh yeah,
So you'll
that
need to
one.
check that.
Okay, yeah, that I don't know if that link actually. I think I just posted the URL, but there that was a different podcast that I did, but that
Yeah,
was a
so
comedy clubs podcast. But there's one on my Instagram, the Justin Rivera.
okay.
My podcast, and then the bio there's a link. It's called ROFL, Rivera on the floor laughing, and the link is roflshow.com, and it'll take you a link, and you click that, and then it'll take you to the podcast. So it's basically I have this podcast produced by Brigade Radio One, and they have production offices on the Universal Studios backlot, you know, in Hollywood where they have like the theme park.
Oh yeah.
So in the backlot I record my podcast there in Hollywood. So there's some episodes up right now, and there should be more coming out soon. So you can check that out, roflshow.com, justinrivera.com as well. You can find my podcast there. Posting sketches on my Instagram at the Justin Rivera. Yeah, man, and I'm on Facebook too. You just search my name, Justin Rivera, comedian, magician, Justin Rivera. It's all there. You'll find me.
Awesome.
Easy to find. So yeah,
Uh,
man.
Sorry, just one more thing.
Yeah.
Do you prefer being a magician or a comedian?
Uh,
If you're like going back on, for example, if you're going back on America's Got Talent and they said, oh, you had to choose one, magician or comedian?
right. Man, I
Tough.
definitely. Oh man, this is tough because.
Sorry, on top of that, is there very many magician comedians out there? Like, I know they're separate, but like
Yeah.
to combine them together, that's very original for me. Oh,
Yeah.
right.
There are. I mean, there are definitely comedians or magicians that have elements of comedy, but as far as like the comedy scene, there aren't too many working the comedy market as much. You know, in the American market especially, there's aren't that many. And honestly, man, I think I'm one of the very few that are actually doing it full time, magic in a comedy venue, because the majority of my income is all comedy shows, comedy venues, comedy whatever. You know, it's
Yes.
not just magic. Yeah, there's not too many. I mean, I know like doesn't like Australia or UK have more comedy magicians or comedy or magic acts that do comedy? I
Not.
thought they did, but I don't think as much.
I
It's
think that
just
I have seen a few like on the TV
yeah,
when they have like the comedy on the comedy channel,
right.
um, but not too many. But like not too many big sort of names. Definitely to your advantage.
Yeah, and that's why like I never really gave up the magic because I present magic in such a way that's different and current and more modern and updated in terms of comedy. It's just more it's not like the old like 80s 90s style of comedy magic, which is the
Yes.
majority of what like magicians who do comedy. It's more of that kind of style, more kind of hack and cheesy and kind of you know um silly, you know what I mean, like like a lot of those magicians that do try to do comedy, like they couldn't work like a real comedy crowd or comedy
Y-
venue or
yes.
people who actually come to see the art of comedy. You know what I mean? Like they're I always say this, like there's comedy for magic, and there's comedy for comedy, and like they're
Yes.
two different things, like because what most magicians don't understand is that like all they think you have to do as a comedian is get a laugh, and that's not true. Like you have to get a laugh in an original way, you know what I
Yes.
mean? And you have to, you know, there's just certain ways you have to present comedy in a certain way where it doesn't come off as a hack
Yes.
or cheesy or whatever or slapstick, you know what I mean? And a lot of magicians don't get that. Like that's why you'll hear a lot of stock lines, or you'll hear a lot of street jokes or internet jokes, and the magicians who thinks they're funny or thinks they're doing comedy, because they don't understand that you have to be original in comedy, And the majority of magicians aren't really original, because a lot of magicians do uh, material that's based on other magicians' work or creativity. Like you can
Gotcha.
buy stuff. You can buy stuff. There's definitely a magic market where you can buy tricks and add it to your repertoire. And a lot of magicians kind of do similar things. So they don't really have that mindset of a comedian who's always trying to write their own material and be original and have their own voice. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
So it's like, and don't get me wrong, like I love magic, and I love you know I love doing other magicians' tricks, but there's there's a point in in a magician's I don't want to say career, but there's a point in that magician's at some point in a magician's I guess career, I can't think of a better word, where you have to like figure out, all right, how am I gonna do this my own way? How am I gonna present magic where it's not out of the box and sounds like that guy or sounds like this guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
So
Yes.
that's where I started to figure out where the comedy could come in, because I always knew I was funny, and I never really started off in stand up. I always started off in magic, and the comedy came through by doing crowd work or doing riffing, and then writing a joke and seeing if it would work for this trick. Because a lot of the stuff that I do is like the trick is like a setup for the joke. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
vice versa or whatever. Or like I'll do jokes in between tricks to transition to the next trick. You know what I mean? Or something like that. So that's where I started to figure out and realize that I could really use comedy to my advantage to make my magic more unique, because because my sense of humor was different than your typical hack magician, comedy magician.
Yes.
You know what I
Yes.
mean? If that makes
Yes.
sense.
Yes. It
So
does.
that's why I never really gave up the magic 100%, because I was doing magic in such a way where it was so I was presenting magic not like a magician, if that makes sense. And like the stuff I do now is more like if a comic were to present magic, if a stand-up comedian was going to do magic, it would look like this.
Yeah.
That's just kind of like what and like my idols growing up was Amazing Jonathan, and he was big in Australia too at in the 90s, and he's always been a inspiration, and he's just a legend. He's just
Yes. Yes.
funny. And oh, interesting story too. His assistant, psychic, was it Tanya? Psychic,
Oh
yeah,
yes. 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 Yes.
psychic Tanya. She's actually a stand-up comedian herself, and she was
All right.
Mason John. Yeah, she's been a stand-up comedian actress for like years. Yeah, she goes way back to the Comedy Store. Like, I think she was a pastor and was a regular there at one point in the 90s or something like that. But I was working with her in Vegas, and because Amazing Jonathan is retired now because he had this whole heart condition and everything.
Oh.
So yeah, and he's old. He did a lot of drugs, so he's like weak. So yeah, I'm doing my act, and then And then who's it? Her name? Oh yeah, Penny Wiggins, who played Psychic Tanya. I want to say Psychic Tanya. And she comes up to me and she's like, you know what? It's crazy because I watch your act, and I'm thinking to myself, he's like the amazing John. He's doing the amazing Jonathan,
Yes.
but he's not the amazing Jonathan. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, thank you
What,
so much.
what a
It's like,
compliment.
yeah, exactly, because like that was my idol growing up, and always wanted to like be the next amazing Jonathan, and I always wanted to be like not just the next one, but I wanted to be like the modern day version and the modern day and funnier version than Amazing Jonathan, because I always wanted to like, I always felt like you had to be better than the greats that you looked up to
Yes.
to like further advance the art and the craft. So yeah, when she said that, I was just like, oh my, I got chills. I was just like, she's like,
Yeah.
yeah, like you're like I'm trying to watch you and figure out like what you're doing and if you're doing anything like the Amazing Jonathan, but like you're so much like him, but you're not doing anything like him. And I'm like, thank you so much. Like you have no idea how much that means to me.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah, because she was telling me stuff about like a lot of magicians just straight up steal from the Amazing Jonathan and do his bits.
Mm.
And and that's the one thing too, is like that's why I kind of never really pursued the magic market, because there's just too many. I think there's more thieves in magic than there are in comedy, honestly, because I'm in both worlds, and it's just you know at least because in comedy there's more of a ethics and ethical system, and there's like ethics and codes that
Yes.
we kind of all kind of abide by, like unwritten rules, and there's also like a sense of like vigilante justice in terms of like comedy when it comes to like thievery. But like in magic, it's just like if you take someone's idea, you may get called out on it, but you're not gonna get like shit like you would from other comedians. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And and that's what I mean. Like a lot of magicians just have that mentality of taking and using, because that's how they learn magic. Was you bought a trick, you read the instructions, you practiced it, and then you presented it. So there wasn't really any sort of like mentality of like writing and creating and crafting or inventing
Yeah.
as much as like a comedian does from day one. A comedian from day one, as an open micer or as someone who started off in comedy, has to write original shit from the beginning. Like you're supposed to. With magic, like you're learning someone else's routine and just getting the basics down.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you very much
Yeah,
for your
man.
time. It
No
was
problem,
so
man.
cool
Thanks for.
to watch you in Shanghai a couple of years ago, and
Yeah,
uh,
man.
and good to see that you're still going strong. And hopefully, when the pandemic finishes, you can get back out on the road and do what you do best.
Yeah, man.
Definitely jump on his Instagram. He's doing lots of posts, lots of videos, and keeping you updated through this time.
Thanks,
Thank you.
man.
Thank you, Justin. Have a great day. Thanks for your
You
time.
too, man. Take care, man. Be safe.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye bye.